I have two things that will definitely upset some of you and get you fired up in the comments. All right, number one, Beat puts on a better live show than King Crimson. And number two, Beat actually is King Crimson. I saw Beat's 6th show live in Phoenix at the Celebrity Theater and was told by a few key people that it was their first good show. They performed 2 killer sets of music from King Crimson's 3 1980s albums. The first set was the weirder, darker, more rare set with songs like Dig Me, Model Man, and Lark's 3. The second set was the crowd pleaser set with Frame by Frame, Three of a Perfect Pair, Elephant Talk, and more. Steve Vai took Robert Fripp's guitar parts to a whole new level. And Danny Carey brought a huge, powerful sound that honored Bruford's parts without sounding exactly like them. Adrian Belew was in fine form on guitar and vocals, as always. And Tony Levin's bass and stick sounded incredible, while he provided the classic vocal harmonies we all know and love. It was such an impressive show. They had a few out-of-sync moments with Frame by Frame, Red, and Lark's 3, but overall it was a fun, upbeat, and exciting show. I'm too young to have seen the 1980s Crimson Ensemble, but because of my work on the Discipline Era Transcriptions book, where we transcribed and tabbed every instrument on each of those records, I've watched practically every available hour of concert footage and grew up watching the 1984 concert in Tokyo on VHS. Now, given the choice between that band and Beat, I think Beat brings more energy with far less seriousness, making it a fantastic and entertaining live show with huge, huge appeal. Yes, there are legendary musicians in each group, but I think my wife would have enjoyed the entire Beat show. She left the King Crimson show in Scottsdale, Arizona after the first set. Now, I've seen the 2010's King Crimson several times, and I've seen the Adrian Belew Power Trio and Stickmen. They're all fantastic, but I'd have a hard time choosing between the most recent King Crimson tours and Beat. Now, 2010's Crimson was like seeing a rock orchestra. They're in suits, static positioning on the risers, and they were playing in more formal venues. Beat is like seeing an experimental rock band playing fun music you already know and love. And Beat is like less esoteric, more approachable version of Crimson. Now, obviously, the 80s band was the original group, and they were 40 years younger. They wrote the music and brought an irreplaceable authenticity to it, but 40 years is a long time ago, and none of these guys are young anymore. These songs are not new, but classic repertoire, which means nostalgia. But for us younger folks, like me and my son, this band is just as original and new as the band we were too young to see. Plus, Beat brings a sense of completion and fulfillment for me as a fan, because the last incarnation of King Crimson avoided almost all of the songs on the Beat set list. Anyone who's watched my channel knows the level of respect I have for Robert Fripp. But I have to say, it's a big deal for Adrian to have another guitarist standing and moving around with him on stage playing King Crimson music. Steve is an excellent sideman, whereas Robert was more of a sitting frontman who preferred to be in the dark. And in that sense, I think Steve brings joy to the performance, where Robert brought more of a humble philosopher guru's mindset to the stage. In their later years, King Crimson presented their music like a symphony. Beat celebrates King Crimson's music with youthful exuberance and joy. There was no four on the floor pounding kick drum on the recent King Crimson tours. But Beat brings music you can dance to. I mean, listen to Sleepless and Heartbeat, Frame by Frame, Three of a Perfect Pair, Thelahun Jinjit. These are 1980s prog pop at its best. You've got guitar synths and Simmons drums and amp feedback and Adrian playing guitar with a drill and Tony's funk fingers with digital delay. It's just a whole other energy you could not experience from seven men wearing suits and standing or sitting in one place all night. All right, let's get to the second bit of trouble, that Beat essentially is a new iteration of King Crimson. Some have foolishly referred to Beat as a King Crimson cover band, and by that measure, bands like Yes and Soft Machine and Kansas are just cover bands. I think that's silly. If Adrian Belew was more like Steve Howe, this band would probably be called King Crimson. Now, some have also dismissed the band, saying it's not King Crimson without Robert Fripp. So what? I mean, I haven't asked Robert, but I don't even know if Robert would agree with that. It reminds me of the whole Zappa hologram fiasco, where Zappa's former band was out there presenting his music in a fun and creative way. And just like I said with the Zappa tour, the world needs more live King Crimson music, not less. This is music that needs to live on for decades and be performed in front of audiences. Go support it. Whether Robert is there or not, he's clearly very supportive of it himself. And I would want to see any band of this caliber performing this music. If Fish decided to play all of Three of a Perfect Pair, I would want to go see it. King Crimson made some of the best music of the 20th century. It needs to be heard around the world with and without Robert Fripp. The most recent King Crimson incarnations toured the world, bringing classic King Crimson songs to the stage. Beat brings classic King Crimson songs to the stage. What's the difference? I think it comes down to the undeniable importance of Robert Fripp, but also his elevated position among fans. Now, I don't know about you, but I listen to King Crimson for the music, not the guitarist. You can think of it as another King Crimson project if you need to. Just don't let a foolish opinion stop you from having a good time. If you're a King Crimson fan, do not skip this show. If you're not a King Crimson fan and you just want to experience an awesome, energetic live performance with some of the best musicians on earth, do not skip this show. It is a 10 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10, but it will be 10 out of 10. And it's only going to get better. They're playing in Arizona again in December, and I'm going to see that show too. Why? Because I love the music and I love the musicians. In 2017, I flew from Germany to Seattle because I was invited to a King Crimson Friends and Family show, and it was worth every penny. If you can afford to fly across the earth to see this band, I would do it if I were you. I know, there's financial realities and all that stuff, but if you can swing it, go for it. Don't be a stick in the mud. Don't wait. Go see this music. Set your opinions aside, open your ears and your mind, and support great people keeping something alive that we all cherish. As Tony Levin told me in our recent interview on the channel, having 4 Americans play this music brings something new and different that even he didn't expect when they started rehearsing. Robert Fripp encourages us to rock out, and that is what Beat is doing. I hope they're so successful that they have to hit every continent, evangelizing great music and bringing smiles to even the grumpiest of prog fans. Okay, now you can start typing your angry comments. I'm just kidding. But I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you haven't seen them already, I've got tons of King Crimson videos on the channel that you'll probably love. And there's tons of people who said, I'm going to reserve judgment and wait and see how Beat is. They love Beat. They said it's an incredible show. A lot of them are commenters and followers of this channel. Nobody has said a negative thing about Beat. Go see them. You won't regret it.